Welcome to Overtime, the podcast. Overtime is a podcast dedicated to all things watches, particularly in the micro-brand and affordable range. I'm Praka, and this is my co-host, Justin.
We are two watch enthusiasts based out of Perth, Western Australia. Join us as we discuss our thoughts on new releases, share our personal experiences, and offer our insights on building a collection.
Whether you're a seasoned enthusiast or just starting your journey, Overtime will keep you entertained with informative insights and casual conversations.
Let's get started.
How you going, dude?
Yeah, good. We're getting close to Friday, so it is a good day. How about yourself?
Yeah, same here. Been a busy week. I just got back from my week away. I had a travel week for work. So yeah, this week's been pretty full on, just catching up on all the stuff that I didn't quite do when I was away. So yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah, sweet. No, I've had a pretty cruisy week trying to lead up to the weekend. I've got a week in the NT or Northern Territory here in Australia for work coming up to do some auditing on some critical infrastructure. So I'm excited to get out. I've never been to the NT before. It's the last state for me. So all I know about it is they love supercars. That's about it. So looking forward to getting out and having a look.
Nice. Yeah, I've never been to the NT either. Actually, no, I lie. I have been to... No, I've not been to the NT. I've not at all. I've been to Broome, which is not NT. It's WA.
Getting close.
Getting close. It's getting close. Oh, cool, man. Well, so, let's just kick it off, I guess, this week. And I just want to know what's on your wrist.
Yeah, so today I went with the my vintage little Seamaster.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I was out traveling today. Went down to Serpentine today, so had a nice little drive and decided to chuck it on. It's on the Milanese mesh from Strapify.
Okay.
And after about 6 weeks of having it, wearing maybe twice to three times a week, I don't think I've lost a single hair on my wrists, which is amazing because from my experience with Milanese mesh in the past, they can be brutal. So
yeah,
pretty happy with this. For I think it was $50 AUD. Pretty happy.
Nice. I don't really have any experience with Milanese bracelets either, and for that same reason, I'm a bit too scared. I have hairy wrists, hairy arms. I don't really feel like testing it, but okay, you know what? That gives me a bit of a vote of confidence. I might have to give it a go.
I've done some of the cheapies in the past, and they're unforgiving. And this was another kind of leap of faith, and can actually vouch for something. So
nice. All right.
What about yourself? What are you wearing?
Good job, Strapify. I am. Hang on. I have a ice cold drink in my hand, so I'm just going to put that down first. I am wearing the Astor Banks Fortitude Lite. It's probably one of my most worn watches. I say that, but lately I've been wearing other stuff. It's a micro brand out of Chicago, and it's probably one of the... I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. Probably not quite right, but it's one of the older micro brands that's been established for a while. They've had multiple iterations in their designs, but their design language is getting a little bit more refined, a little bit more sharper each time around. So this is a no date, clean white polar dial, clean design.
It's a beauty. And when I was seeing it in person for the first time, catching up with yourself, coffee, I was surprised at the size. For some reason, in rendering on their photos and on their website, I thought it was going to be bigger, but it is quite perfect in size, in my opinion.
That's it, 38 mil, if I remember from top of my head. So it's just that hits that sweet spot for most people, I think. So yeah,
perfect spot between sport and dress too.
That's exactly
it is real nice. And while we're on the topic of micros too, sure. I was going to touch base quickly before we hit the ground running with the topic.
Go for it.
And say this week, I think, has really made me appreciate the micro brand space more than ever, with some pretty underwhelming releases from the top end of the community. I think you got to see the Omega releases.
I did.
And apart from the Pro Plof, I actually quite like the Pro Plof, I think it is. And apart from that, what a average way to celebrate a huge milestone.
I think I saw the releases as well, and what is that? They basically released the same dial color for every single model that they have, and it costs $1,000 more or something like that.
And
Yeah,
11 watches, like one
mm,
release, 11, but all the same. Like I was actually quite hyped up because, yeah, it's a space that interests me.
yeah.
And just disappointment. Um, yeah, just missed opportunity. And then on the back of, we're just chatting about Tudor in the last couple, I think, hours, released the new FXD and FXD Chrono, and what a what a mess. The
Yeah,
Red
that
Bull something release, but
this is
yeah, makes me appreciate the
collaboration.
micro space.
100%. I'm with you there. I said, look, the Omega release was I would say underwhelming, but the two-door release, again, might cop a bit of flack for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say a mess. It looks like they gave it to the intern yesterday and said, "Hey, we need to do a design with Red Bull. Can you put something together for tomorrow?" And then the guy said, "Yeah, sure, no worries." Yeah, it just looks really lazy. Is the word for it? And look, Tudor makes some beautiful watches. Your Black Bay, and this Black Bay 36. It's one of my favorite designs, and the Tudor Panda chronograph is wow as well. I mean, but this was just yeah,
Yeah,
not
just off the on the back of some of their recent releases, like the 54 and the smaller Pelagos. I thought they were trending in a more exciting direction, maybe a bit more to a traditional sense. But yeah, just you described it perfectly. Just a mess.
yeah,
I was excited. I get excited when you see the kind of little teaser pop up on the Instagram story. But yeah, I took a deep breath and sighed to myself and
yeah,
went back looking at reels.
yeah. No, look, and but like and as we even though we trend and around the micro brand and affordable space, it's always good to see what the other side of the world is doing, because you know frankly speaking, that often becomes an inspiration for micro brands and other smaller brands. If the market responds to it, then a lot of the micro brands would use elements of the design. I'm not talking about homages, of course, who
Yeah,
basically
definitely.
copy paste, but I'm talking about your micro brands who try and use some of those market do some market research. But yeah.
On the back of that too, someone
Hmm.
in the red bar here in WA said something that really perked my interest the other day, which is the Omega release. And I didn't think this at first, but once I read it, I was like, yeah, wow, this is exactly looks exactly what's going on. Someone said, does it look like Omega's now riding the back of some of the homage slash micro slash the affordable range in dial design because it's been tested down there, like the wave dial. Like it's just they are leaning harder and harder
Mm.
into that. It does feel that way. Like the ultra deep Omega, I get it's its own thing and everything, but it looks just like a Save the Ocean sumo to me. Like it just looks like that. I can't get it out of my mind now.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and say Save the Ocean Sumo looks better.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's definitely
like,
more attractive in price.
for sure. I mean, we talk about this all the time, right? We talk about how Seikos kill the dial game, and as much as the specs and the case finishing and everything else in an Omega will be, of course, much better than a Seiko. But stuff like that, when you see a dial that's maybe it's not really that inspiring or not much difference, and
Mm.
be honest, it's a bit off-putting. But
It's
yeah,
underwhelming when the kind of wave dial, Mega's had its wave dial for a long
of
time,
course.
obviously, but when it's been done in a different style by now, Tissot as well has done it on their Sea Star, I think the range is called.
Yes, Sea Star Divers.
Sea
Yep.
Star. I think Phoebus in the microband space has done it. Seiko is good for the wave dial. I think that's the most, I know Mega's got their wave, but I think Seiko's the Great White, and you got in the turtle range. Well, I call
Yes.
it the Great White, the shark fin. That's probably the first watch that comes to mind when I think wave dial, and the shark fin is the eye drawer and the attention seeker there.
Yep.
So it is. I think just when you get that new attempt at something that's been done now 100 times, just takes the edge off of it. It's just not
Mm,
exciting. I think in the Red Bar chat, it was all the same feels across the
yeah.
board.
Yeah. No, it's a good point. It's a good point. I like it. And it's definitely a good segue into our topic for today. And feels. So, as the episode title suggests, we're talking about the watch experience. What do you mean by watch experience, you ask? Well, listeners, look, it's basically it's common in I'm going to say especially in the affordable and micro brand space to focus on like a spec, the spec sheet of a watch.
Yep.
You're looking at your 200-meter water resistance, you want screw down crown, you want sapphire crystal, you want this, you want that, you want everything. But not a lot of emphasis goes to the actual wearing experience of the watch. To put it simply, it's more than specs, right? It's a sensory experience, don't you think?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a way bigger picture than just the specs. And I think what has, I wouldn't say ruined or taken away the experience, but definitely has put it more on the back burner is, I guess, the whole hype and the way that the watch community has grown. The most common question I see asked when people are asking, what does everyone think about this watch is it going to retain its value? Which is just, everyone's got their thing, but just shouldn't be the reason you're grabbing that watch. And even in the micro brand space, it's quite predominant these days. People kind of post a picture and has anyone bought this? What's the experience like? And then it's what's the resale? It's like God, that's the last thing that I think of when purchasing myself. But I think it doesn't just it takes away from the experience if that's what you're focusing on as part of a purchase.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The whole the crowns model, of a watch as an investment, it's another thing, right? That people seem to put emphasis on, which including all the specifications, and definitely does take away from the experience of a watch. And this is something that I had to learn throughout my watch journey and where I am right now. And I think it's the same for you, if I'm correct.
Yeah, very similar for me. And I guess on the back of that, like the hype is just so the word hype, like the attachment to hype is just so unreal. Like the fact that people are buying $500 micros with a cool dial, it's something unique. It might be limited to 100 or 150 pieces, just because it's whacked on eBay for $1,500 because it's limited run doesn't make it a $1,500 watch. It doesn't make the next release going to be that next kind of sought after or chase watch. It just, I don't know. It's something I tend to ignore and try to ignore anyway. But it is quite prevalent in the hobby.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a couple of micro brands that come to my mind exactly when you say that. Helios is definitely one.
Yep, for sure.
The very limited runs. And it's a lottery system that, frankly speaking, doesn't seem to work as well if you really want to watch and you're not having bought a watch before. There's a bit of I haven't been in the lottery myself, but I've heard a lot about it's just doesn't work very well. They're beautiful watches, don't get me wrong, absolutely gorgeous watches, but just not not worth it when you're putting it up for twice the RRP in eBay straight away as soon as you buy it.
Yeah, and I think one of the problems these days, because there's companies out there like Helios doing awesome work, and people get the attachment to the piece before it becomes in hand, let alone the purchase has been made, and then I wouldn't say it destroys their experience, but I think it definitely takes away what should be the traditional, fun, enjoyable buying, wearing, loving experience.
For sure. I agree. And moving on, like from that point, as building on from that point, sorry, not moving on. And when you're talking about, what they see online and how they perceive it, and then they get it, and then maybe it's not quite what they think it is, and that visual sense, it's what you see online with 3D generated images or even pictures that other people have taken. It can be quite deceptive when you actually receive it in hand and have a look at it, and sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad. Like I personally have not bought a watch when I had the chance to online on a Star Buy sale. Got a shout out to Star Buy. It's like crack to the affordable watch community in Australia. But basically,
that was a good one. That was good.
But yeah, it's like I didn't buy it because I was like, it doesn't really look that great. And then
Yeah.
when I saw it in person, I saw it in person in a local jeweler, and I was like, oh man, I could have bought that, but $300 cheaper.
I just went
Yeah,
this exact experience with the turtle. Like I've had turtles
yes,
before. One turtle, which was the same one you owned, and wanting to buy another one, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to buy the. I kind of did want to buy the same one again, but I thought I'll branch out and do something different. And I'd never owned a Paddy version of that any watch before, and I was a bit unsure because the kind of labeling on the dial and the red hand. So going into a jeweler and seeing it definitely helped me make that decision. And two, before we move on from that, I feel personally attacked by your comment about Starbuy there.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry,
no, you're
sorry.
good.
This is coming from someone that's that has bought from Starbucks before, so it's not like I haven't. I
I've got it
just
sitting on my left screen with that 37 mil Citizen in my cart for the past 7 days. So I feel attacked. I haven't
uh,
I
yeah,
haven't got it yet, but it's coming.
it's coming,
But it's the
it's
same
coming.
thing. I went to lunch today at the carousel here and
Yes.
just was hoping I was going to see the 37 in person, which it wasn't there. But I think once I get to actually put it on the wrist and have a look, I don't
Yeah.
think I'll have any issues with purchasing it, but I still have that experience of wanting to see it in person first.
For sure, for sure. And that's sort of where that's why we're doing this episode as well, right? Because the experience is actually a lot and way more than what people realize. And moving on from the visual cues from there, I guess the next thing that you should be looking out for is the touch.
Yep. This is one
Yeah.
that I'll resonate with
Mm.
real heavily. So I don't know if you've ever owned a samurai.
I have not. I have worn one, but I've not owned one.
Okay, so what did you think of the whole feel there? Like the
Uh
actual feel of it on wrist.
it was oh yeah, it was heavy. It was heavy. It was definitely heavy. Angled, sharp cases. It was exactly like the namesake. It felt like a
Yep.
samurai blade somehow, and yeah, it was good.
Yeah, this is my experience. So I got it back. I don't know. I think I bought it online, but not from Starbuy, but
Okay.
somewhere else. And I bought the orange samurai when it was still in rotation, and
Mm.
I was so excited to get it because I'd seen the photos of people on the forums, and it. I still think it's an amazing looking watch now. I love it. But when I got it, I think I put it on. And I walked to the shops in it. I was pushing the pram. I was like, oh, this crown is, because with the pram you got your hands propped up,
Yes.
a little bit higher. And I was like, this crown is destroying the back of my hand right now in this angle. And then as I started to, I did the one hand stroll and had the other hand down in my pocket. I was like, oh, the corner on the lugs is really starting to
Uh,
rub. And then I tried to make myself love it, but that's why it didn't last. I was like, it's so big, it's so bulky, it's sharp, stunning watch. And once I put it on a rubber band, it changed a little bit.
sure.
But yeah, just I guess I wouldn't call it jumping the gun, but definitely the experience from watching people on the forums kind of go, cool, amazing watch, nothing bad about it. When you get it in hand, you're like, oh, it's not bad, but it's not what you think it's going to be
For
based on
sure.
visuals.
Yeah, and exactly right. And that's such a good point, and the stuff like the case sharpness, the fit, how it weighs on your wrist, or you can't get sure you can get a spec sheet which says it weighs 140 grams on a bracelet or whatever it is, right? But until you put it on your wrist, you don't really know how it feels, how it wears. And look, this is not for all the listeners out there, I'm not saying don't buy stuff online. I literally buy all my watches online. However, I do a little bit more of a research, a little bit more of a deep dive into how it wears. What should I be looking for? I'll try and look at different angles of the photos, try and see if there's anything in there and see if other people's experience. And if I don't know, I ask. And that's easier said than done. But yeah, so don't get me wrong, listeners. I'm definitely not saying don't buy stuff online, but yeah, it's one to definitely look out for.
Yeah, and especially in the Seiko Citizen Tissot, not so much the micro brand space because you kind of don't have a choice there with the authorized dealer in person, but in the Seiko Citizen Tissot kind of space, you're not going to miss out. Like if the you want that mid dial, you see it online. It's the that Tiffany color is the chase, and everyone wants it. It's all good. Go to the shop and have a look. But if the price is better online, it's not going to disappear. If it
Yeah.
sells out, like Starbuy again, is pretty known for having those 1 day sales. And I had it once where the King turtle was on sale. It was like $450 Australian for the black dial, waffle dial. And I was like, oh, I've never really seen the king turtle in person, never tried it. I didn't know it was any different. But that was my reservation, was wanted to see it in the flesh. Got down to a Angus and Coot the next day, went back online, sale was over, sold out. And just like, oh, but again, 2 weeks later, it was on the website, fully stocked, $20 more than the original price for the sale. You're not going to miss out. It's all good. Yeah. They're mass produced. It's not a one-off thing. Yeah. It can be, I understand it though. It can be a very I want it now process. You get those kind of that itch and that scratch, but it's not going anywhere. It's going to be around for a long time.
Exactly. I think we all succumb to FOMO, the fear of missing out.
That's the word. Yeah,
that's the word. I know. I could see you like
my brain wasn't ticking.
Searching for it. Yeah, it's been a long week. I understand. But yeah, for sure. Like I just think the fear of missing out really does influence that. And to be honest, look, fine, you buy it, you don't quite like it, you sell it. You essentially maybe have paid a $50 trying on fee. Think about it that way. Yeah. Don't think about as you've spent $600 in a watch and now you don't like it. Think about it as, okay, bought it for $600. You probably can flip it for about $550. I'm just pulling numbers here hypothetically, but more often than not, you will find a buyer and you won't take a massive loss on watches unless it's something really, really niche that you won't really lose that.
Yeah, and I think that's going back to like the kind of original moving to the topic was, that the original segue there is you're not buying a Seiko to get your list price back in a year's time. It's just, it shouldn't be the mind space you're in. Like, I don't want to tell people how it is or what to do or anything, but it's just shouldn't be the way that you're thinking about that Seiko Citizen space. Like, I've sold a couple of Citizens over time that just haven't gelled, and you're looking at nearly a third of the price there. So with that, you're moving on for $100, but I'm not expecting a full return of that money. It's just not how it works.
Yeah. Think about it as like a cost of your hobby. If you have other hobbies, you're probably going to pay a lot of money. If you're into bikes, you're into cars, you're paying a lot of money for maintenance. I don't know if you're track days, there's a lot of money in that. Think about it in a similar way. Definitely a good thing to think. I'm gonna slightly change the topic now to, it's still the same topic, but looking at so we talked about the visuals, we talked about the touch, the weight, the fit, the case, and all that. But what about the sound? This is a strange one. I think you have a lot of experience in this, so please, tell me.
I've got 2 examples I can touch on. Sure. And sound was nothing that I'd really had any thought of to do with the movement itself. But the other night, so shout out to Vince Hughes here in Perth. I sold him a moon swatch for his wife the other day, and she's enjoying it from his message back. Happy for her. But it was like sitting on my bedside table, and it was 2 a.m. I woke up and I was like, that is an extremely loud tick. And for anyone who owns a moon swatch is going to know exactly what it was, because once I heard it and had it next to me the next day, I was like, I can't unhear it now. I don't know if I'd call it off-putting or anything, because in a setting, in a food court or anything, you wouldn't be able to hear it from the shops. At work, though, I only wore the moon swatch twice in the 3 months I've only got, maybe 3 times, and I never took it to work. But I think sitting at my desk, it would be the only thing I'd be able to hear, to be honest with you. Sure. Not to take anything away from the watch, it was just extremely loud.
Yeah, I have similar feeling, similar experience with the Timex Weekender. Great starting watch for any listeners out there that's looking to get into a cheap entry-level watch. We're talking about $60. Again, fantastic watch with great indiglow, which is basically their light patented. You press the crown in and you get a light in. Sorry, I need to talk about the Weekender because it's actually a great watch, but
for sure.
It is one downside. It's the sound aspect of it. It is loud. It ticks so loud. And I
Yeah, and
just,
this
yeah,
this might be a possible gripe of you and I, but I know I am super weird with other things in life where I find stuff enjoyable that other people really don't. So some people might actually enjoy that tick. Like it's obviously a reoccurring rhythm that happens every second. It might just, tick that OCD box for someone that it's peaceful. Like there's definitely everyone's different. Someone might love that.
sure. No, you know, right? You're
Um,
right. You're right. Maybe we shouldn't shoebox it and think, hey, sound is a bad thing, because sound can be great when we're talking about a movement and you can just hear that oscillating, you know,
That's
that's
exactly what I was about to
awesome.
say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my lead into that was the other side of like kind of sound experience is I love hearing my tutor tick when it's
Yes.
close to my hand. Like if I go to kind of put my AirPods in while I'm getting in the car and you kind of get that brief tick 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 tick. I love it. I love it. It sounds good. It sounds really peaceful. You kind of
Yeah.
something's going on inside the watch that that traditional mechanism is just ticking away.
Yeah. 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 I think maybe a sound of a mechanical watch is great. Does it for me. The sound of a quartz tick, maybe not. So maybe that's probably what we're getting at, aren't we?
Yeah, and I'll go for the real annoying sound here in terms of maybe not watches but clocks.
Yeah.
My parents, sorry, my parents bought a Kit Kat clock. Have you heard of that before?
No, I haven't. Tell me.
It's the cat clock on the wall where the eyes move left to right and the tail pendulums sorry,
You know.
pendulum swings the opposite way.
Okay. Okay. No, I've never ever seen that kind of watch. So it's kind of like a grandfather clock, but it's a cat instead.
It's about 40 centimeters tall.
Okay.
It's got a swinging tail and the eyes move in the opposite direction. And that thing is so loud. My kids are so obsessed with it. And my son is 4 going on 5 and
Yeah.
just understands that's what's teaching him to tell time. Like that's how I'm explaining it to him. He can see it up on the wall. He's got interest in it because it's a big blue cat. Like he loves it, but it's so incredibly loud. We'll be sitting watching a movie and it'll come to like a quiet scene and it is just unbearably loud. But it makes the kids happy, so we'll keep it up as long as
That's
we
good.
can. I'll
That's
send you a
good.
photo later because it's actually
Yeah.
quite cool. If it wasn't noisy, it'd be awesome.
Please, please. Maybe we can upload the photo into something and
Yeah,
attach the
definitely.
link to the show notes. That might be something that I think our listeners might want to check out. Or maybe we can just send a link to the actual item itself so people can buy it if
If
they like.
if you want to see the Kit Kat clock, I'll put it up on the Instagram tonight because I love the look of it. It might not be for everyone, but it is cool. And if you've got kids, it'll be awesome.
Awesome. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well,
So
and just another thing as well about sound is, when we're talking about dive watches, right? And you and I, we've had quite a bit of dive watches. And the
for
one that
sure.
I have experience with one of your watches is the Zelos. Tell me about that sound.
Yeah, so I like this is definitely my OCD. The biggest box tick for me is the click of the dive bezel. And it's something that I always found satisfying no matter at what level until I bought the Black Bay. And I realized like how smooth it can feel with such a crisp poppy kind of sound. Like it really showed me like that's where your difference in money is going. There is a lot of difference between your standard Seiko bezel and then that Tudor bezel. Um, but I still find every one of them satisfying. The Zelos, I don't know how you found it, but it's good. It's quite grippy. The bezel itself, like I guess that plays into it. How grippy the bezel is to get that kind of flush motion through. Because I've definitely had dive watches that have got like a very shallow coin edge style where I
Sure.
can't actually grip it. And you're not getting that full, 180-degree turn, so you're not getting a full range of clicks. But the Zelos has always been good in my opinion. I did have one Zelos seize up one time. I had a bronze one that just
Okay.
stopped rotating, and I just had to kind of run the vinegar through it to get rid of the patina and a bit of the corrosion from. I took it out on the boat, so I should have expected it.
Fair enough.
Um, but yeah, the bezel is like I'd be lying if I said it wasn't part of the must-have kind of box tick when buying a dive watch.
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, I'm in a similar vein, but bezel for me, I prefer a smooth action less than a grippy action because I think for a lot of people they like that grip and that click. For me, I don't mind it, but sometimes it's like, I don't really want to, really have to force it up to get it, get it going. But
Yeah,
I do enjoy the sound, the click, 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 click. But I realize that as much as I enjoy it, it's quite annoying for some people. I've been in a meeting room where I was just waiting on something to finish up, and I'm just sort of, mind not really thinking about it, just rotating bezel. And then I saw someone next to me look at me, and I was like, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. So yeah.
Yeah, to touch base on bezel sound too. When I bought the Seiko 5 GMTs when they first came out, the black dial variant with the grey half of the bottom half of the bezel, that's the unidirectional. I think they call it, I think it's friction bezel.
Yes.
It's dead quiet, and there is a level of OCD tick to that as well. Where I was kind of like, oh, it's really nice to actually feel it slide and not have a tick. Like, it's really pleasing.
Okay. All right.
So
I've not actually seen that. I mean, I haven't actually used a bezel like that yet, so I need to check it out. Yeah.
yeah, that was my first experience with the friction. I'm pretty sure it's called a friction, but yeah, the free moving backwards and forwards with no
Yes.
kind of resistance
Yeah.
was really nice, and no
Yeah.
sound is quite interesting.
Sure. So there's no like ball bearing or anything in there. It's sort of holding
Yeah,
it. Okay. Yeah. It's no. Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
one of those experiences that you're so used to one thing being a certain way, and that's all you've ever experienced. And you come over here like, wait, this doesn't feel right, but it's nice.
Yeah. No, you're right. Okay. Cool. All right. Well,
Sweet.
moving on from sound, then this is probably the weirdest of all the different watch
I love
experiences,
this.
but I think we need to speak about this, and it's smell. Yeah. Look, it's strange. I know, but sometimes you get a watch, and say you get a watch with a rubber strap on it, and in a few days it smells funny. Or even when you take it straight out, or you bought a strap online, you bought it from eBay, you bought it from AliExpress, whatever it is, and then you go, it smells kind of funny. It's got like glue or some sort of
Yeah.
residue or something on it. You know what? A strap can really make or break. That
Hmm.
smell is one of those things. Like we're humans. We're very, we have all our senses tell us whether something is good, something's bad. And this is something you definitely cannot get by buying online.
Yep.
This is something that you just have to feel it. And yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple of points and I guess two shout outs on this one. So in my early days of Instagram, if you go scroll all the way back on my Instagram, it was when I was real deep into the Seiko divers. I was obsessed with Crafter Blue
Mm.
straps, so the fitted rubber. They're a vulcanized rubber, and they smell amazing. They've got they sent them with this like vanilla thing, and
Ah.
I did some reading up on it, and people said that when they sent the rubber, tends to wear off. I've got one sitting in my little like strap box here, and I pulled it out when I read that we were going to put smell in the comments because I wasn't expecting it. And I pulled it out. I was like, oh, the whole box still smells like vanilla. It's
Wow.
incredible. So like
Awesome.
shout out to Crafted Blue because those I bet they're expensive straps, but
Yeah.
they're incredible. And second point on that, nothing beats good leather. Like the smell of like fresh, crisp leather is amazing. And I'll shout Rob at Geneva Blue. I bought a couple of his straps over time.
Sure.
Incredible. I bought an aged, I think it was some sort of aged Halloween strap from him, and it
Yeah.
still smells amazing 2 years later.
Nice. Yeah, I have a Horween leather strap as well from made in Germany. I have no idea who it's from, where it's from. I bought a watch and it came with it, and it's been used, but it
Yep.
still had that, just that smell. It's just hard to, I don't know how you
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it, but it just has that good smell. And funnily enough, I think in the last episode I spoke about my AliExpress leather band that I bought. I don't know
Yep.
how they did it, but it still smells pretty good. It still smells like leather. It smells good. So I don't know if that's like an injected smell or what actually is that little thin piece of leather on top. That's all it needs. But yeah. So again, smell probably not the be all and end all in a watch experience that you want, but it's something to consider.
Yeah, and actually, well, thinking more on smell, I'll like kind of make that one of the, I wouldn't say, yeah, like you said, more important points, but it is something that I didn't think was as big a deal. Like the leather thing stuck with me because when I smelled the leather strap that I put on, and I'll be weird and call it out here, like I do just like smell it before I stick it on the watch as well. Like I love that smell. Um, it reminds me of like my granddad's car, like his old Jag with the leather seats. Like it just reminds me of that. Like I bought a really nice leather wallet from a calf skin wallet from Louis Vuitton a few years ago. That's my first like really nice experience with a wallet, and it just reminds me of that experience. So it's one of those things that you smell good food, like your grandmother used to cook. You like memories, feelings,
Memories, yeah,
vibes.
feel.
It's good.
Yep, and that's exactly what we're talking about. This entire thing, right? I mean, you summed it up well. A watch shouldn't be just a watch; it should be an experience. And having these memories attached to something like a smell, it's beautiful because it just links so all these other important aspects in your life into a watch. And as crazy as it sounds, it can be very important to a lot of people, and it's important to you, and it's also quite important to me as well. So yeah.
Yeah, the last point on that, like you might not realize it. I got young toddlers, but you might not realize it as the parent at the time. But I remember this stuff about my grandfather and my dad. I remember my dad having his leather wallet that was made by one of the cows that was butchered out in the paddock that I lived in. And he
Wow.
had it made from home, and that sort of stuff that stuck with me forever. So I don't know it yet, but my son might be picking up on this kind of stuff already, and that'll be what he talks about in 10 to 15 years time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love
Yeah,
it. I
yeah, for
love
sure.
it. I love it. The experience. As I'm talking about, listeners, like this is real. Experience, the vibes, the feels. It is real. Now, we've just had a nice holistic conversation just then. I'm gonna slightly change tacks. This is maybe a little bit ranty, and yes, so not exactly how we've been pacing this entire episode, but people love to talk about, like we said, we'd love to talk about specs. And one of those things that we love to talk about is QC. And QC in talking about, does stuff line up and blah, 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 blah. And Seiko cops a lot of that. And
Will
it's
do.
fair enough, right? It's a mass produced product. You're paying so much money for it. You want it to be pretty good. Sometimes their QC is pretty bad and your bezel alignment is off by, I don't know, a degree or so and something like that. And frankly speaking, I've seen a lot of focus on that, and as though, the QC is bad of this, QC is bad of that, and I'm walking away from Seiko or walking away from whatever, but tell me which Seiko that you pick up. Like, okay, apart from the samurai, because it's a special type of watch.
Yeah.
Tell me
It
which of
fits
them
someone though. That's the thing. It fits
exactly,
someone.
exactly. Tell me if it wears poorly. Like, I mean, Seiko has been doing this for 100 and whatever years. Your Tudors, they've been doing this for a long time. They know exactly what it takes to make a watch. And that's one thing that micro brands and affordable micro brands, especially, they need to make sure they get that right. The experience of wearing a watch, they need to make sure they get that right.
Yeah, and I think what I'll touch on there is Seiko 5, right? You're at the I would say really affordable end of the Seiko range there, especially if you get them on sale. Now, I've recently bought an SRP E51K, I think it is,
Nice, well done.
and I think I'm getting better. um, yeah, it's the Dress KX, I think they call it,
Yeah.
and watch is awesome. Seiko know what they're doing, but the bracelet not great. It pinched hairs. It was super noisy and squeaky.
Sure.
Didn't like it, and it's one of those weird things that you read in the forums quite a lot that the Seiko bracelets are terrible, but it's one of the things that people just accept at that level. But this weird bezel alignment issue that people whinge about in Seiko, people are just dying on that hill.
Yeah, it's crazy. I actually have an analogy comparing that you know that whole experience of that. So I drove in a Tesla Model Y last week, got driven in it for a couple of hours. So I had the experience of being in the car for a few hours, and Tesla's got the hype. Everyone loves
Yeah,
Tesla,
for sure.
and it was cool. There's all this tech in there. There's all these cool features, and it was very specky, right? And it just reminded me of a micro brand in that sense. There's all these specs. So it's just a watch in general, like that you're looking at the spec sheet. And I asked him. So I said to the guy who was driving us and said, "Hey, so what do you like? What's so good about your car? Like, is this awesome? Like, it's been great." Because he's had it for a couple of months now, and he said, "Oh, look, it's good, but there's just a couple of things in it which is not really great." And I said, "Like what?" And he goes, "Like the windscreen wiper." And I was like, What do you mean by that? What
Mm.
do you mean wiper? And then he turned it on, and it was just the most awkward windscreen wiping sort of mechanism. It didn't quite hit all the spots that it needed to hit to make your screen clean and clear. And it was all, it's all automated, right? But
Yeah, interesting.
it wouldn't switch on when it was starting to rain. It was sort of, as in, it wouldn't get, the speed wouldn't increase. It would sort of lag, and it was all these weird things to it. And it's funny because, again, what this reminds me of is, people love to talk all this stuff about how, like, for a brand like, Tesla's doing all this great stuff and everything, but they couldn't get the basics right of a car. A car window wipers should work properly. It should
It's a
just
pretty critical part of the safety
it,
of road use.
exactly right. But the thing is, they they excuse it because they go, oh, it's fine, it is what it is, kind of thing. And
Mm.
it sort of reminds me of the whole Seiko QC sort of thing. Yeah, they get a lot of flack for that, but then, you know it wears well. It's a good experience, and they know how to make watches. They've done it, and same with other brands as well. And Tesla's the new guy in the market, and look, it's all great,
Mm.
and it was an awesome car. Don't get me wrong, but they couldn't quite pull that off. The window
Yeah,
wiper.
you're so right. You've actually just made me think of like an experience recently. Like I'll compare this while we're talking about
Mm,
analogies. Like uh tomorrow night I'm going out for another burger. This is going to sound real bad, but recently went out to a different burger joint here in Perth, and it was mine was amazing. But I had a friend sitting next to me, and his one was off. And for a $25 burger, he
mm,
goes, "I'm taking it back up, and I'm going to get it, remade again back the way," which completely fair.
of
Everyone in
course.
agreement. But if we were at Macca's and you're in the drive-through and you grab your Big Mac and it hasn't got pickles, or it has got pickles, you didn't order it, you're not taking it. Well, most people aren't taking it. I'm not taking it back.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
just driving off and throwing the pickles in
Yeah,
the bag, and that's it. But it is interesting. And I think maybe going back to the first point of the topic is with the microband space and how good QC can be at the affordable range. I think it just kind of people make the comparison but forget how big of a beast Seiko
yeah,
is. Like
yeah,
Seiko is such a big company.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I assume that like any large company, they're just siloed into all these different ways of working and management systems, and yeah, stuff gets lost. And sure, they could do better, but at the same time, there's so many things in the world that you take with a pinch of salt and give some leeway here because they excel there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm completely with you. And again, we're not excusing Seiko here. We still demand better because we know they've always had good QC back in the day, but now, it's sort of slipping. So yeah, I'm not excusing them for sure.
Yeah, and for anyone in America, just from experience, Macca's is McDonald's. People don't call it Macca's outside of Australia, so we probably sound a bit different.
Good, great point, great point. Yes, listeners, Macca's, McDonald's, still the same stuff, but it's
Yeah,
good to differentiate that. All right. Well, I mean, we've talked about the watch wearing experience. We've talked about the feels and, the vibes, or whatever you want to call it. Um, Following on from that experience, we thought, you know, why don't we talk about the experience of buying? Hey, why don't we talk about that?
yeah, I think it's something that we've both got in person, online, and secondhand market experience with. Um, I want to let you kick off with this one and say
Yeah,
what's your experience with secondhand market, like Facebook forum, Gumtree. What's your general consensus and
sure.
how's it been for you?
Sure. Yeah, like, yeah, as you know, and I might have touched on this before in previous podcasts, but a lot of my watches I tend to buy online. That's more because of the brands that I generally look at, which is the micro brand space. It's hard; you can't really go buy a micro brand in the shops. So I do have to buy online, and also a lot of the time I buy secondhand. One because it's you can get great deals for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but but you can also get stung. You can get a
Yep.
really bad experience. And thankfully, I've had good experiences so far. And my tip to all the listeners, if you're looking to buy secondhand and online, is to join a reputable forum. If you're in Australia, something like the Australian Affordable Watch Forum is a great it's a great forum to be in. There's a lot of people buying and selling watches daily. They've got a big sales history, so that you can verify and you can actually check whether you're going to get fleeced or not.
Yeah, my favorite part about that forum is I've never bought or sold anything on there myself, but the second I see a sales post come up, there's usually someone vouching for the seller instantly. There's always a comment on there saying, I've had great dealings with this person. And if people are going to go, publicly with their comment, not just send you a direct message or something, they've obviously had a good experience with them.
For sure. And it can be a bit hard, of course, if you've got no sales history to try and sell. However, there are many ways in making your sale. There's many ways. And for me, when I first started selling, it was, sending lots of high quality photos through Messenger, or taking lots of high quality photos in the first place, and making sure your description is very accurate, and on the condition of the watch, and vice versa for buying too. Don't be afraid to ask, hey, I can see a little bit of a nick near the lugs, for example. Can you please send me a photo that's close up photo, so I can see the condition of the lugs? Ask them, and 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a favorable response, and you're going to get
Yeah.
someone saying, "Yeah, sure, like no worries. Here it is. It's got a scratch, but it's not that deep of a scratch, or whatever it is." Or they're going to say, "Yeah, look, it's a bit busted up, but tell you what, if you want it and you want to take it, I'm going to knock off $20 off it," or whatever it is. And I think that's a good little thing that people can do to get into that sort of buyer's market.
Yeah, and if you're a listener here, I think you're obviously a watch person. You're not just the average person looking for a new timepiece. The Facebook forums is a good way to get a general feel if that person knows the watch, like, or owns the watch, because I've definitely had experience selling motorbikes, push bikes, like mountain bikes, road bikes, where you kind of deal with people who post up a bike and have no specs put on it, just selling it for some extremely cheap price. And but like your Dorenzo, you got that for an amazing price,
Yep.
and you got it from that was from AWF,
That's
right?
right. Shout out to
Yeah.
Dave. He is an absolute champion. Yes, I still don't. I still pinch myself with the deal I got for that Dorenzo. And yeah, thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure dealing with you, and I'll deal with you again any day.
Yeah, and I seen that post. I screenshot it and sent it to you because I knew it was on your radar. But like that post there, exactly that person knows the watch ins and outs. They're a watch person. It's a good way to get a gist of it. Is that watch? Because that's one of the worries I had back when I first started buying secondhand was, are people stealing watches and then flogging them
Sure.
secondhand for a quick bit of cash? Is this, I guess, before I kind of knew what I was talking about or knew what I was doing in the space? Like, are these serial numbers unique and able to be tracked down if I try and sell it on somewhere else type thing? Is it all that kind of stuff that made me nervous in the beginning? You can kind of, if you're a watch person, you know what you're looking for, and it's a great
Sure.
way to kind of vet those situations.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for most parts, I really I've had a great experience with Facebook forums like that, like AAWF. But on the flip side, I've also dealt with the deep dark places like Gumtree, and
Gumtree's a weird place.
Gumtree is a weird place, and Gumtree is one of those places where you do find a lot of people posting up stuff with absolutely no details and grainy photos that look like it's been taken with a potato.
Yeah, and I think for anyone, any listeners outside of Australia, I don't know if Gumtree exists anywhere else, but that is like Craigslist in America type thing. So it is, like you said, it is it's like the meme in The Lion King where it's like, that is the dark place, we must never go there. That's Gumtree in my opinion. I tried to sell my Rado Captain Cook on there, and I had a guy not ring up, he messaged me and said, I've got a Hyundai XL that runs but isn't licensed, and a 2011 MacBook Pro. Would you take these as trade? I'm just like, I was reading the message, like, I don't know whether to laugh or cry or what to do with this information. It's so weird.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I've not had too much experience in the second hand. I've sold a few watches myself, but never. I think I've only ever bought one watch secondhand,
Okay. And what was that
and it
one?
was a great experience. Great experience. That was a black Seiko Sumo
Nice.
that I got as an absolute bargain secondhand from. I think it was someone who literally was just looking for an everyday watch, wasn't a collector at all, had no idea about the collecting world and how big it is and how deep it is, and just moved it on for a great price.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
It was Facebook Marketplace, just picked it up because it was a good price.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's all just like Gumtree, going back to Gumtree. I had a really, really shady experience with Gumtree. I bought a vintage Seiko from Gumtree. I know. And it was from the other side of Australia. There was really not a lot of indication whether it was real or not, or it was hard to tell from the photos. And one of the things that I did was I said, "Hey, can we have a video call? Can we have a video call? I want to see the watch. I want to see it work. I want to see you showing me what it is." And he said, "Yeah, okay." And then he, did a video call. He showed me the watch, and he wound it up and it was working. And then he gave me a spiel of how he got it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's pretty good." And then that was actually one of my first experiences buying online, which was actually through Gumtree. It was before I even joined a forum
Yeah.
like Australian Affordable Watch Forum. And for me, when I bought it, I was like, I think it was about $300 or something like that. I was like, look, either I'm going to lose $300 or I'm getting a great bargain because this watch is worth more than that. And thankfully, I got a great bargain.
It's part of the risk, isn't it? That's it.
Yes, risk versus
I think
reward.
everyone has that experience with eBay as well. You buy something on there and it never shows up. Part of the process.
For sure. So, I mean, moving on from the second-hand market, which generally has been good for me. What about you? I mean, what about you? Let's talk about you have more experience in this than I do. So I want to lean on you for this. Is the AD experience? And for those who don't know what an AD is, it's authorized dealer or a brick and mortar shop.
Yeah, so I've got two experiences. I guess we'll call Watches of Switzerland is the place I bought my Tudor from, and that experience I loved every single minute of it. I went into that kind of with a chunk of money and said, I'm ready to kind of take that step into the next bracket. I don't know what I want, and it was a drop of a hat. I didn't say I was coming. I didn't book an appointment. I walked in and shout out to Chol at Watches of Switzerland. Customer service was next level. He made the experience what it was for me, but he let me try everything, including a couple of grand over the price range in hopes that there'll be a bit of a discount there if I really enjoyed it type thing.
Sure.
But let me try on absolutely everything. Gave me specs, pros, cons about wearing experience, some customer feedback on this sort of stuff before, because I went in there originally wanting to buy a Panerai based on solely looks. That was what I was interested in. The only real interest, and ended up walking out with the Tudor Black Bay Heritage 41, so the burgundy bezel, and haven't regretted it at all, because it just ticked every box because I told him what I was looking for and he just sold it to me.
That's great.
And comparing it to your normal experience like Angus and Coot, where you've got a nice person working behind the shop front, it's just a sale to them. They're not worried about your experience. They'll tell you it's an absolute bargain because the sticker price from Seiko's 1,300 and we've got it on sale for 450. But when you're a watch person, you know what you're looking for. You just want to try it on in those places. Whereas in the Watches of Switzerland experience was just that next level. Care factor, customer experience. Everything was amazing.
Okay.
And on the back of that quickly is my second experience in AD was with I can't remember if it was in Melbourne or Sydney. It's going back a long time, but I bought a Tag Heuer Monaco. My grandfather had a Monaco, and that was kind of a bit of a grail, I guess, in the start of my collecting. So this is going back about 6 or 7 years now. Right, it was my first big purchase.
Sure.
And I bought it was the quartz model, so it wasn't anything huge. Black dial with some sort of black leather, and it wasn't a great experience. It was Yeah, it was fine, but it felt very much like an Angus and Coupe. But I'd never bought anything more than $1,000, and this was around the 3.5 to 4,000, and just felt like your average kind of let's get you in and out with something in hand. That was the goal. Where at Watches of Switzerland, Chol was interested in me getting a great experience out of the whole
Sure.
process from because I said the Tudor interests me. I don't want to buy it today because I want to go home and have a think. And he said, well, do you want to put a refundable $1,000 deposit down? You can hold it for a week and we'll have a think about it. And I said, oh, that'd be amazing. And once I got home and did the YouTube and did the research, spoke to Red Bar because the Black Bay 58 was also on the cards. Um, yeah, managed to make my decision and went back in on the weekend, and he made it special. Had a glass of champagne with my grandfather in there, and
Awesome.
just I can say nothing bad about that whole experience, and I can't wait to do it again when I finally make my mind up on something.
Yeah, awesome. That's so cool. I don't have that experience. I've not bought anything from an AD like Watches of Switzerland, but I have been in there before and browsed, and yeah, look, my experience has been good as well. They've sort of said, hey, yeah, do you want to just try on some stuff? And this is the new stuff we have in. And they were very, they're very accommodating, and it was great. Look, I have heard many horror stories of ADs not being
Yeah.
so great and being a bit, how do you say it, a bit, I guess not exactly being accommodating and sort of saying, well, I don't think you can afford this, so you're not going to try it on and stuff. But to be fair, and to be fair with Watches Switzerland in Perth, they do a fantastic job. And I did not deal with Troll, dealt with someone else. They were still very very good to deal with, and yeah, I completely resonate with that experience in the AD.
Yeah, and just like you said there, they kind of the word I guess the word is judgment. Some the stories you hear, that whole I don't think you can afford that kind of watch. We're not gonna go and chat about that one. For me, like I didn't get that at all. Like I just got you want to try this on, let's go for it. And it's made me when I'm ready to buy something again a bit higher at that level, it's where I'm going back to straight away. Like I've got Joel's card. The couple of times I've been in on lunch breaks at work since. He remembers who I am. Like amazing. Like
Good.
I don't know how to put it into like a full kind of one like a sentence, but it was just an incredible experience that I can't wait to do again. And I guess on the back of that, I went in to get the new 5 link bracelet for the
Yes.
Tudor
Okay.
and got told we won't sell it to you. We can't sell it to you. And I was like, oh, it's a bit average. But
Okay.
anyway, I left my number with them because they were going to double check with Tudor. And they got back and said, if you want to buy something like a Forstner or a strap coat, if there's one, we'll size it for you here. No problems, free of
Ah,
charge. So
okay.
yeah, and that experience for me began as me wanting to buy a sub. So that was the goal. It was, I got a promotion at work. I said I want to buy a black no date sub, and
Okay.
Joel was honest with me. I walked in and said, "Hey, here's the money. Can I have the sub?" And he goes, "I don't know how to kind of tell you, but no. But
Yeah.
here's what we can do." And he turned what I was a bit down about into an amazing experience.
Great. Well, that sort of sums up our experience sort of topic today. I feel like we delved into lots of different things, but to really sum it up is there's more to things than just the specification of a data sheet. There's more to that. There's how things make you feel, and the vibes, and just the overall experience is something. It's something that you can't quantify.
Yeah, and the last point I want to talk about on experience is try your hardest to not let social media and forums influence your experience because I was so excited to go in and buy that Submariner when I wanted to, and I didn't get it. But I found when I went in to buy the try on the Seiko Paddy Turtle, I was still just as excited. That's
Yes.
one end of the spectrum to the other. It's make it your own. You're obviously interested in that watch for a reason. Why is it? Have a good look at it. Get excited about it. If you're going to buy online, it kind of keeps the hype a little bit more for you because you've tried it on. You know it's for you. You got to wait a couple of days, but yeah, don't try not to let it other people influence the whole experience.
Yeah,
Make it yours.
I agree. I agree. I think I've bought watches before that very much was in the lane of what the forum liked or what Instagram liked. Obviously not in that price bracket, but in a lower price bracket. And oh, look, I enjoyed it, but I probably wouldn't have bought it if I didn't get that sort of, I guess, push or pressure, like, oh, this is exactly what you want, and this is the thing. And I think it's a tough balance because you rely on things like forums and YouTube channels and watch media to inform you of what's out there. But then at the same time, they're all trying to push you to buy one thing or the other. So I think like you summed it up quite right. I think just, really take your time, look at it. If you think you enjoy it, if you think you're going to enjoy it, then sure, go for it. But don't succumb to the pressure.
Yeah, and I think we've got to remember that the different price points might be not a ceiling, but it might be, a $500 piece for someone else might be the top end of their budget type thing. And I've found with my experience with forums, when some people really get passionate about, yeah, and it's awesome, be passionate. I'm not saying don't be passionate by any means, but it's that overly passionate about something to the point where they don't say any realistic expectations about it. It's just, this is what I have with the Bulliver Lunar Pilot. I love the look of it, and I was sold it based on forums because there's no way I was affording a Speedy at the time, and I bought it because everyone said this will tick it, this will tick it. When I got it, I was like, oh, it's
Okay.
like it's a chronograph, it's black and white. It's definitely cool, but it wasn't it. And no one had anything bad to say about that watch that had any pictures themselves. Like, it was all, this is amazing, nothing bad, nothing but good. But people get a bit defensive about this sort of stuff, and
Sure.
you won't always get a realistic response from someone if it's their baby.
Okay.
And that's fine, but just
Mm.
keep it in mind when you're in that process.
Okay. Good point. Good point. I never really, I guess I don't really see that. But, I see what you're saying.
It's like
I
cars
have,
and bikes. People
yes.
get so, like, people will defend anything. Like me, my first car was a TX5 Ford Laser. I bought for $1,000 out on a farm. It was a little
Nice.
all-wheel drive turbo, and my friends used to hang so much crap on me for that that car because it was so ugly. It had the giant like muffler exhaust. It sounded like there was a fly stuck in it. But it's to this day, what are we? 11 years since I've had my license, I will still defend that decision
Yeah.
until I go blue in the face. It's just one of those things.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. I mean, tribalism, I think that's the word for it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You stick to your tribe and you do it. And just like me, I'm a big Seiko fanboy, but as yeah, I guess to wrap up our topic today before we move on to the last segment of our podcast for the day is I have a mate who purchased a Hamilton khaki field automatic. It's
Yep.
been a watch he's been looking for a while, and all indications said this is a great watch. It had
Mm-hmm.
all the specs. It had the heritage. It had a lot going for it. So he bought the watch for a great price. I think I found it for him or something like that. Or I don't know. I can't remember quite the story, but basically, I knew the guy who you bought it from. I knew it was a mutual friend of my cousin or whatever. Anyway, we vetted the guy. He bought the watch and he got it, and he was like, and I was like, this looks awesome, man. Looks great. But that was not his reaction. He was like, oh, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but I I just don't I don't know. I'm just not really bonding with it. Like I just don't know if I
Mm.
quite enjoy the experience of it. And that just nailed it, right? And I was like, boom, that's it right there. And he always wanted, or he's been wanting for a while the Seiko SPB 143, which is the one I
Mm-hmm.
have. And I love
Yep.
it. I go on about it, I rave about it. That's one of those ones that, it'd be like your Ford Laser. I'll be on the top of the mountain screaming, this is the best watch ever. Everyone needs to buy one. And funnily enough, ever since I've okay, here's a stat for you. Since I bought the SPB 143, I've had one, two, three of my mates buy SPB 143s since
Yep.
then. The same watch. We're
Yeah.
not even
Yeah.
talking about different variant, the same watch. And then another mate who bought the same case shape, but the
Yep.
blacked out version. So we had
Yep.
four guys who've bought the same because just purely for my love,
Yeah.
in all honesty, it's a great watch. So he's what he's done is he sold the Hamilton and
Yep.
he got he found an SPB for a great price and he bought it and he put it on and he said, you know what? This is exactly what we're talking about, the watch experience, the watch wearing experience.
Yeah,
You can talk about the
that's
specs,
awesome.
and yeah, and to be honest, I'll shout out to Paul, who basically was my inspiration for this episode. Just talking about the experience. I mean, it's something that I want to talk about for a while, but that was sort of the trigger to say, yeah, I think we're ready to talk about this today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I wish I had four friends who bought Ford lasers with me because that would have absolutely destroyed my little country town. Moving on.
Oh, awesome, awesome. All right, moving on then. Look, I think that was a fantastic topic. Let's move on to the something interesting section for today. And look, first up, we've got something a bit different. We don't generally do this. We generally try and talk about watches or watch straps, but we're talking about another podcast today. Jamie and Jess. The two people who've created this podcast, and it's called J&J Hacking Time. Justin, can you tell me more about it?
Yeah, so I put it on the list of things to listen to for my job. I've recently jumped back into a lot of driving, so I've had to kind of put everything on the downloads again. And I listened to it while doing some renovations, and it's actually so funny. This pop like their podcast popped up because I think it was literally like the day that I made the Instagram. I think it was the day after that
Yeah.
that theirs popped up as well. It's like what are the chances? Jamie's in Perth as well. I think Jess is over east.
Yes, she's in Sydney, if I
Yeah,
recall correctly. Yep.
yeah. Jamie I met through Red Bar here in WA. Yeah,
Same
great.
here.
Great bloke, knowledgeable in his watch space too. Loves to
Yep.
chat about cars as well. And Jess, I've had a couple of chats with over Instagram,
Sure.
and I have watched a couple of her YouTube videos. I'd recommend anyone. I can't remember what her YouTube is off the top of my head, but I'd recommend go and check it out.
Yep.
Yeah, she
I
definitely.
think it's called Aussie Wristwatch.
I think
That's
you're
the
right.
YouTube channel, Aussie Wristwatch. So yeah, but look, the podcast is called J&J Hacking Time. They have it on a video format as well as a audio format, is my understanding. Look, they've just started. I think they're up to episode 2 now, and they've had some pretty cool guests already so far. So look, everyone, I urge all the listeners, we as if you're like us, and you just can't get enough of watch content, this is something to really sink your teeth in, and give them a good go.
Yeah, that first episode when I was listening, so when I was doing renovations at home, I was hooked. It's awesome to hear people out of Australia again, that's for sure. Um, but yeah, absolutely hooked, and yeah, I like the whole guest format. Like I love what we're doing here as well.
Of
But
course.
hearing that third party come in and have a chat and be that different dynamic, yeah, it does change it up. So yeah, highly recommend. And to Jamie and Jess, if you do want to catch up and have a chat at some point, I would absolutely love to do that.
I like it. I like how you dropped that. And yeah, maybe we might just have to get them on as a guest maybe one day. Who knows?
Yeah, for
just
sure. No,
just just putting a
I'd
plug out there.
yeah, I'd love to have a chat with them at some
For
point.
sure. For sure. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to the next little interesting thing that I guess we've seen this week, is a Kickstarter brand that is going to. They haven't quite launched this watch yet, but they've done a lot of prototyping and a lot of basically a lot of renders and prototyping. It's called a Zealandic watches, based out of New Zealand. Yeah, what do you reckon about this watch? I saw this on Instagram and I was just like, whoa, this is nice. This is really good.
These are cool. This is I don't know what the terminology is that I'm looking for, but this is the best execution of simple but interesting and busy at the same time. Um, yeah, they're obviously riding the color waves as well. There's a good range of color here. I'm not sure what's your favorite, but I'm leaning towards green, which is weird for me.
Yep.
Um, Pops. Everything about it is awesome.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I'm with you on the green. So the color way, I think it's called Pornamu green. So I'm not sure if I've said that
Yep.
right. So I apologize for any of the listeners from New Zealand. It's a Maori word. So basically, Pornamu is a word for a South Island New Zealand greenstone. And in fact, when I visited New Zealand a couple of years back, I bought myself a Purnama ring. There's beautiful,
Oh, cool.
deep green, with sort of variation of colors. So basically, that's the inspiration in that dial, and it's beautiful. And I love seeing that. I love seeing micro brands attach a story to their watch. Sometimes it can be a bit far fetched. I get it, but this felt authentic. You're talking about a watch that's built from, that's based out of New Zealand. I'm not sure exactly where it's being manufactured. With a strong connection to New Zealand and New Zealand heritage, or the Maori heritage, which is awesome.
Yeah, it feels in the same vein as Houtman, or Houtman, I think is how you say it, with their kind of Pilbara connection to their stuff. It does feel cool that it's close to home. My favorite thing about this is how the tip of the seconds hand really aligns up with what the indices look like, that arrow style. I love it. I love just the dial placed at the 12. It stands out on every single one. It doesn't kind of disappear into the dial at all.
Yeah.
And some of their shots in the light here, you got something like, lead on the side from the top with some flecto. Like every shot looks incredible. Yeah. This excites me.
Cool. Well, I mean, unfortunately, listeners, you're going to have to wait for a little while. I think currently they're looking at launching at the end of the year on Kickstarter. So look, it's about 6 months away, but it's definitely worth to keep on your radar. And we'll probably bring it up again in a later period of time. So, all right. Well, I guess we've come to the end of our episode today. I had a great time chatting about the experience and just something a bit different from the regular talking about talking about your case materials and all that. So look, if any of the listeners want to reach out and have a chat about it further, or give us your feedback, let us know what you really think about that, because I'm sure there's plenty of stories out there and we would love to hear it.
Yeah, and jump in, have a listen next week to continue on with my never-ending decision about the 37 mil ProMaster. I'm going out the city this weekend, so I'm hoping to see it in person. So maybe I'll have a judgment awesome. Call done next week.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully it's an NWA for next week.
Yeah, it feels like I've done a few of them this year. It's a good feeling, but at the same time, a bit of a calm down feeling. Calm down a little bit, but no, all good. No, I really enjoyed this, mate.
Yep, that's the magic of watch collecting. So yeah, well, until next time, I'll catch you later.
Thank you for joining us on Overtime the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
You can find us on our Instagrams at Overtime the podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, and at Horology Capture.
We appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please hit us up. We would love to hear from you.
Until next time.